Alright, so this video is going to be over the new Ashura Shizen Bloodline. Now, this is new Bloodline, guys. I'm going to be going over some of the details within the Bloodline and tell you guys just how good the Bloodline actually is. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, to rest the video, guys. Alright, guys, so starting off with the first move of Ashura Shizen. Now, the first move of Ashura Shizen, I honestly don't really know whether this is honestly, that great or not. It's basically just a two-hand side after Shizen third ability. Now, the issue is that I do actually think that it's a little bit worse than after Shizen third ability. Like, I think in all essence of the word, this is honestly just a worse after Shizen third. The third move after Shizen has an Inferno effect that is afterwards that, obviously can cancel hand sides and stuff like that. So it actually is more of a disruption ability, while this ability is more of just a basic combo extender. And even though it is a combo extender and those are generally going to be good, I definitely feel like this move, I don't really feel like it's going to be that, easy to combo extend with, because it has two hand sides and it has a lot of startup attached to it. So I actually definitely feel like this is actually the weakest move of Ashura Shizen. And, that says a lot because the move honestly is not that bad. It's definitely a B tier move B tier move in general. And I definitely think that this move will have some uses in the game, but generally your people, might be using Alpha Shizen third rather than this move, because, even though this move looks extremely good, like it's a very cool looking move, has really amazing textures attached to it. I definitely think that the move in PvP and PvE content is just going to be worse overall, even though the move is actually quite cool. Now, it is worth mentioning that the first move also has insanely good auto tracking, so it'll auto track to anyone within your AoE radius. Now that might be a plus side for some people that don't know how to aim in the game. There's a lot more people than you might realize that don't know what aiming is, so not to call you guys out, but this might be the bloodline for you, because the AoE, the auto tracking of this bloodline is kind of ludicrously good. It is also worth mentioning that this move might actually be pretty good for burst combos, because it actually is quite a long fall stun. It has a lot of hit stun attached to it, so since it actually place locks you a little bit, it might actually be extremely good for burst combos depending on what burst combo you're going to be using. Now, the second move is definitely probably going to be the best move for Ashura Shizen, obviously, other than the mode. Now, this move is actually a guard-breaking stun that has two hand sides attached to it. So it's a long-ranged two hand side stun that guard breaks even stronger block. Now, the only issue with this move is obviously that it has a very high cooldown, but this move also drains their chi. So it's basically you can counter it, by the way, I'm pretty sure. So this move is a counterable guard-breaking auto-tracking chi drain stun ability that honestly stuns for quite a long time. I mean, the move in general is a pretty long stun for being a guard breaking stun. You don't really see many guard breaking stuns in the game. I don't know if you noticed by now, but people generally do not like, rogue games generally doesn't really like dropping guard break stuns into the game. So you're most likely not going to be seeing these that much. So this move is definitely going to be an S tier move. It's honestly an amazing move in general, and I definitely think that this move will be used by a lot of people. Now, the third move is honestly just going to be a pretty basic combo ender. It's like Maki Buckshot Subjutsu combined with just a basic, down slam ability. But I actually do think that, this bloodline overall is going to be pretty good. And I do think that this move, honestly, funnily enough, melds into the actual moveset quite well. I think that Ashura Shizen moveset, honestly, is one of the most cohesive movesets probably out of almost all of the bloodlines in the game. The actual moveset of Ashura Shizen, honestly, works really well together. You can do combos with each other's abilities. I think that it's on Snake Man level of cohesiveness. It's just a very, very well put together bloodline. I definitely think the third move is a great combo ender to just slap into the bloodline. Even if the move itself is really not that great, it's probably like a C+ tier move. I definitely think that it definitely makes the moveset a lot better overall, because since it has a combo ender now. I definitely, I think people would have probably preferred to see like some sort of like counter included with it, because, there hasn't been really a counter to any Shizen bloodline yet. Would have been pretty cool to see, but I actually do think that this move in general is going to be pretty okay in PvP, especially if people are going to be only using this actual only one move. But other guys, what was your favorite part of the new update? From the comments below, we'll be checking them out. Alright guys, so the mode, which is probably the coolest part of this entire bloodline, is going to be, you unlock it at level 50. The stats obviously are going to be, a little subpar based on how the other ones are. Looks like the mode range is the exact same as Indra. Now, I am using the Ruby skin, as you guys can see, so it's honestly a really, 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 really cool looking thing. Now, the M1s are honestly, I think they're the exact same as Indra's, but they just look a little bit cooler. I honestly think that this bloodline in general looks much, much cooler, even if it isn't as good as Indra. It's definitely a very cool looking bloodline. Now, the throwable of it is going to be a counter just like Indra, but the actual counter I actually think is a lot better than Indra's counter, because actually is a true stun, while Indra's is just a ragdoll stun. So I definitely think that this counter in general is a lot better, but the cooldown is significantly longer from what I can tell. So that's something worth mentioning. Now I'm going to be using the Q spec into the C specs to see if I can get a bunch of damage off. And so as you guys can see, the C spec does absolute tons of damage. He just got literally one shot by my moves. The C spec does tons of damage. It's a lot like Riken C spec, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't have any knockback attached to it. So it allows you to do a lot of damage in a very, very, very quick burst. Now the coolest part of this mode is obviously going to be the weapon spec spec of it. Now, the weapon spec actually does drain a ton of mode, and your M1s are based on the amount of chi you do and based on the range that you are from them. As you guys can see, the closer I got, the more damage my M1s are actually doing. I'm doing almost, you know, probably like 70k of damage in M1 combo when I'm close by. And you're allowed to use the moves up here. You know, it's just like Indra. You can use moves while you're on top of the, you know, big giant dude. And then the throwable is actually different when you're in this mode. Is going to be Alpha Shizen's second ability, which is quite good. So I definitely think this mode overall is going to be a really good mode. But I don't know if it's better than Indra. I think they're very similar in terms of strength, but I definitely think the mode has its pros and cons compared to Indra. I mean, like, this C-Spec does absolute tons of damage when you're right next to someone. It's a pretty, you know, fun to use ability in general. I definitely think this Bloodline is overall, like, overall, I think this Bloodline is definitely going to be probably a S- tier Bloodline, if not S tier Bloodline. Since it does have a pretty solid guard breaking stun, has an absolutely amazing mode. The abilities are honestly very usable as well. So I definitely think the fact that it has a pretty good mode and the fact that the abilities are honestly usable is definitely S tier material. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, bye bye.